Well, welcome everyone to the April 10th Multimedia SIG. I'm the student teacher for the fourth week in a row. Still learning and everything, but I think I make baby steps each week. Some people might find that questionable and everything. So we have 4 videos here to show, and if we have some time, I have a couple other things that I pulled off of YouTube because that when I got here this morning I had nothing, so I was like, I better have something. So I went and did a little bit of research. Just one of the videos on YouTube is it's about I think an 8-minute video just on how to make your travel videos better. So I thought that was something that was of interest. The other one that if there's time and interest in everything, I don't know if any of you folks are golfers or watch any of the Masters, and I'm not a golfer. And I watched a little bit of the Masters yesterday, but what I found impressive is they used to have these big cranes there with the cameras on, and now they're using drones. And so I went to I tried to find some video of that to show, but there was nothing that is posted as of yet. But I did come across a little like 2-minute video that someone did with the drone, and it's really coming up the main entranceway, and then they actually fly into the clubhouse and everything. And so, I mean, I showed it to Ron and Royce just to make sure that I could show it here. And to me, it was very impressive. Whoever the drone pilot is an extremely talented pilot. And we figured that he probably had the VR goggles on to be able to do what he did. But the shots during the match yesterday, flying through the trees and everything, was just someone who's very talented. And that's what we questioned, because at golf matches, you have to be quiet, and we know our drones make noise. So I don't know. I mean, it was I think NBC, so I'm sure they got the bucks to buy the latest and the greatest and the best to keep them silent and everything. All right, our first video is by Arlene. Arlene, do you want to tell us about it?
Let's share with sound and optimize for video clip. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
Good reminder.
Yeah, that's fine.
So this is, so I did this about 3 years ago, and it's just a short video about Disney.
All right.
One time at Disney. this was 3 years ago.
Well, that was fun. Nice job, Kurt. I didn't have any paranormal experiences when I stayed at the cottage. We were looking for them, but nothing happened. So when, like in the very end, when you had the ghost, did you create all of that or did you?
No, so I found that on Pixabay, and so, and then I just put it into the video.
So is that where you find most of your effects like that?
Well, either I create them or I find them.
So like the smoke stuff that was going through the
That
room.
was probably, some of the stuff I buy, I mean, some of the stuff I make, some of the stuff I get on Pixabay. It all depends how lucky you are. And, it's been, I've been collecting stuff for years.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too, because when you go to look for it, it's like anything that you're trying to search for on Google. I was having a clip that I was looking for, street traffic noise. And I probably spent more than an hour trying to find something because I typed that in and then I was listening to the different clips and I was on Pixel Bay for that. And it said, no, that's not what I want. That's not what I want, and everything. And it's just kind of like, you have to keep searching around because what in your mind, you think it should be titled, isn't whatever it's coming from the source. So I find it, pretty challenging trying to narrow it down.
And when you get to cartoons, it's even worse.
Really? Very good. Any other comments? Any comments from the Zoom gallery? Well, that's a fun, Bisbee's a fun town to go to, and especially the lower and down the Lowell, where they have the Shell station and the gas pump. I actually took a picture. I think the gas was 28 cents a gallon or something like that.
What is the name of that site that Arlene uses for effects?
Pixabay.
Pixel what?
Pixabay, Pixabay, like pixels, Pixabay.
Pixabay.
Oh, Pixabay, okay.
Did that cost you? You got this,
No.
right?
No, it's free.
The other thing down there in Lowell is the original Bisbee Breakfast Club, if anyone's familiar with that. They have, I think, 4 or 5 of them now in Tucson. And personally, one of my favorite places to go for breakfast, especially the one on Broadway and everything. But they had a different menu at the one in Lowell than they do at the ones they have here in Tucson for some reason. But still fun to go to the original one. Very good. All right, so our next one is Mexican poppies. And is this one's yours?
Yeah.
All right, Ron?
Now that I have a captured audience, I actually made a video that's 18 minutes long.
Excellent.
Actually, it's very short. It's about a minute and a half. And this particular place, Peridot, Arizona, is on the San Carlos Reservation. But there's something about that area that they get rain when nobody else does. And so these poppies are there every year, year to year.
Wow.
It's just a pretty place to go, but it only lasts a few weeks.
All right, so share screen.
done 17 more minutes.
Yeah. Some flowers, you know.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Very colorful.
About 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
How far is it from here?
about 150 miles roughly. And there is a Bash's grocery store and gas station. So you can get food or drink or whatever, because it's sort of out in the middle of nowhere.
Would you need a permit to get out there now?
Yeah, and
You
that's
need that.
when I showed
Safe
that
harbors.
building,
Yeah.
the
So that's
permit,
what
I
it
think, was $10.40.
I think you can get them online too. It's been a while since I've been up that way.
Yeah. Pretty place.
I think either last month's issue of Arizona Highways or the month before, on like back of the magazine, they always have hikes or things like that. And there's one up there that you can hike up to a lookout. Where all the flowers are and everything, which gotta do that sometime. Nice job.
Todd, could you send me Arlene's and Ron's for potential Showtime usage in the future?
Sure,
You can do that.
cost you a nickel.
Alrighty. So our next one is one on Cuba. Do you want to tell us about it?
Okay, well, this is outside, because I showed the one of Havana already, so this is outside of Havana. But I'm trying, the whole issue I'm having is with the theme, so it's like, I'm not really trying to make a travelogue in that, I'm trying to show what life is like to the people there, not for what it would be like to go visit Cuba. But I did throw some like national park things and stuff in there, and I'm just wondering if I should take them out, because it just kind of disrupts the flow kind of thing, so kind of look for that. And then there's also some photos in there I want to do something else with, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with them. And you'll see it.
Okay.
cada cual con su trabajo, con sus sueños, nada más, con la experiencia del arte, con los recuerdos detrás. Yo tengo tantos hermanos que no los puedo contar. Gente de mano caliente,
really like how you have the picture in the front, but then the same picture in the background. That was a really nice effect.
It's with the software.
Yeah.
Oh, Photopia.
There was some pictures though, I would rather see the whole picture rather than the little one in the middle.
Okay.
Because I thought the picture would have been a nice.
Just enough, yeah, maybe a little simple slight zoom or something.
And there was one other point, you know, more in the photography and than the video, where the three guys were sitting there playing music. And in the lower right corner, you could see somebody's knee and the guy's going like this.
Okay.
If you would have taken one step to the right, you wouldn't have seen him at all.
Oh, that's true.
Profit too.
Yeah.
But you can crop it too.
Or you could crop it.
Yeah, I can maybe
Yeah.
try to crop that.
Yeah, with this sort of, I saw the fingers going and it took me away from the guy's.
From the guys.
Little thing.
I think you're right, Catherine, where maybe some of the videos ought to be in like a whole separate thing. And I liked all the way you had all the people and all that. I think all that kind of gels together. I think a couple of your videos, the first music video is pretty good. The second one, I think just didn't quite fit in,
Didn't quite fit in.
but the rest of it, even going through the park, I think.
That was okay?
that was-
I think
People in nature.
when you have the three guys playing, you need to adjust the audio in that because it was at a lot different level
Yeah.
than the rest of it, so.
I guess when you're in front of your computer, it doesn't seem to be that much difference, but yeah.
That was really nice, makes me.
I wanted more variation. I wanted you to tell the story behind the people. I was like, okay, what's that? Where are they at? What is it?
Yeah.
That was boring.
Like working with a,
And intermixing and not doing the people one after the other, but kind of building. Then the people, it's kind of going to be a little mixture. It's a little more mixture, but yeah. I really, these people, you know, were there, and they let you take pictures? Did you have to pay for that? Or did it, no, they just let you take pictures?
Well, could I ask?
well, partly we were there with students, so
Oh, okay,
they had access
yeah, it was.
to things that they normally wouldn't have.
Yeah, I thought it was a great presentation. Todd, send me that one also.
I got a picture first.
We can do that and everything. Captain and I were talking earlier because I was in Cuba a few years ago and everything, and the people were just so friendly. I mean, and because it's a very controlled country, you didn't worry about gangs or theft or, I mean, they just absolutely tolerate,
They want,
They-
say, Latin American.
they don't tolerate any of that and everything. One of the other things I found interesting there is, while we particularly refer to him as Che Guevara, down there, it's Ernesto. Everybody took that's, you know, when you see that, oh, Ernesto, there he is. He saved our country. So very interesting.
One idea that I thought of was, the guys who were playing the music.
Uh-huh.
So cool. I'm thinking, a possibility would be to, instead of having the video for the entire time of the music, is to cut some of the video and let some of the other pieces that are around that have that video.
Just keep the music, but kind of keep the video in short. But the music.
Yeah, but not too short, 'cause I mean, it was pretty awesome, but to keep the transition was really sharp between the music they were playing and then the next music that came in. I would have
Maybe a
liked to
better
have
fade.
seen, I would like to have seen that music be carried through in more of the whole
Yeah.
show, you know, like
Yeah.
maybe the loop of that music, you know, and at least one of the other music things. I don't know. It's just okay.
I think also, I think it was the second piece of music that when it got to the end, it seemed like it was about to stop and there was like a pause and then there were a couple more notes to it. And I don't know if that's
No.
how it actually
no,
played.
That was. But I could.
I'd probably just when it starts drawing down, I'd probably just let it go there and those last couple notes, I'd just,
Yeah, that's easy to do.
yeah.
The suggestion of a little bit of narrative in there would help when you're transitioning from two different songs. You know, sometimes it was like quick,
Oh, Yeah.
or the transition of one sound
To
to
the next one.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Another question I have, like when I was in, Thailand and Vietnam and it was pretty poor and run down, but then we got to go to a family's house for a meal that I mean, it was a beautiful home and you could tell, you know, they had money and they had their own store and stuff like that. And so, I was aware of only seeing the poor, so to speak. I mean, you know.
It's a desperate
is
country.
there-
It's a desperate country. I mean, the people that are working don't have enough support.
Yeah, but are there even glimpses of ones that do have money there?
Well, there's some in there that have money. Cuban. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
okay, yeah. Most, actually, a lot of them did.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't distinguish that.
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
announcement. Yes, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Makes me want to go back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next video we have here is Royce's.
Deja vu. Ron.
We're
Yeah,
going
you
back up to the.
Go ahead and
Poppy
play, because
fields.
that kind of explains a little bit. Good morning, Multimedia. You guys always ask, which tell us a little bit about the video. So I just thought I'd tell you a little bit about the video. I was talking to Ron Stein the other day in the camera club. Oh, wait a minute, photography club. About the places he goes and sees, and he was just telling me about a trip he went up to around in the Apache Reservation outside of Globe, Arizona. And I thought, wow, that's one place I haven't been. So let's get on it, because the poppies aren't going to last forever. I called up there, did a little research, and found out, well, they're kind of fading, but they're still here. So contacted my fellow traveler, Jerome. We've done a few trips together along with Milo. And took the 145-mile drive up, and we're not disappointed. Even though the flowers were obviously less than what they were, it was still very beautiful. Hope you guys enjoy. plane thing, that's not normal. I don't know what's going on in your setup, but that whole thing, how it's all moving jerky across there, that's not in there at all.
I wonder if that's with the, connected to the,
Yeah.
Zoom.
Could be.
It does happen.
because it wasn't jerky on my screen here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Something on the train.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Well, we've seen in some of the other sites where it gets jerky and.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway,
I love how you started the trail, you know, when, after your introduction, and then you ended with that same picture with the trail. I thought that was a real nice bookend to get that.
yeah, thank my wife for that, because I just had a black screen. She said, you need something more for that. So, yeah,
Nice shot. You shot all that on your phone?
yeah, that's all phone. Yeah, I left my SLR at home. I didn't even bring it down with me. As far as it's in Washington, I have stopped using it. I was
One of those, huh?
I was gonna force myself to use the phone. Well, I spent, money on a higher quality phone with the cameras on it, and so like, we're gonna make it, see if we can make it work. There's a few times when I wish I would have had a telephoto lens for some of my shots, but not a lot. There's just been a few.
You should buy those little lenses, that stick on.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't hold very good.
Yeah.
But they do work.
Yeah, it's, I just try to make it work with, now Jerome who went with me, he took his Canon camera from 1995, it's an older one, but, he had a couple of shots were in there. But anyway, yeah.
So when you were driving down the road, did you have your camera on a gimbal or you were just holding it?
Holding it,
Just holding it. That's pretty good.
yeah,
Pretty good. No drone?
they can all let you fly drones there. They could have flown it and I brought it with me. I could have flown it on some of the trip there, some of the canyons and all that, but I'm slow. Take me to set up and it's an old drive up there and the day was progressing, so.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyway, thanks Ron for telling me that it was all about that place up there because it was well worth it. I said to go up there.
So is it just in that area that they don't allow you to fly drones or?
Indian reservation, typically they don't allow you to fly drones. That's what I've read. I asked before I went up there if they allowed them. No. I was, and I've seen some state parks where on one video I was watching a guy, they let you fly a drone for certain hours, early hours, and you pay an extra fee. I'm sure for administration. But I thought that's kind of a neat way to deal with it.
Mhm.
So you could actually fly a drone, okay, you're restricted these hours and it costs you a little extra money, because I think people would do that in parks. That was for an Arizona state park. So, but they didn't do that, because I would pay money to fly the drone up there.
Yeah, that'd have been easy to drone fly out over
Yeah,
all those fields.
and you could tell the flowers like on the top of the knoll there we were around, and they were, like half of what they were. Yeah, you notice between your shots and my shots, there was a difference, and that was just a week.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They go quick.
I also went to Coolidge Dam,
Okay.
don't go. Because you don't really see the dam, you can drive across it, but where the dam actually is, there's no roads down there, so you don't really see anything. So don't spend the money and the mileage to go.
Yeah, coming back through Superior and all that, the guy, Jerome, who I went with, he was born and raised in that area, so he was like, tell me all the history of the area and all the different things he did growing up, but yeah. And it was a lot prettier drive up there than I imagined, going up 77. I mean, it was kind of, you follow the river, and then you follow, another river, and then you go, and it's a lot prettier than they never expected. It was a good part of the trip.
Yeah, nice.
How did you, choose your music?
Went through like 4 different sites, spent hours and hours, going through all different songs, and I go, okay, this one would sort of work. And then Debbie, my wife, she said, yeah, I like the music, okay. And I paid $10 for it. I go to the site. My last resort, I go through YouTube library, and then I go to Purple, place where it's still free, and then there's another one that's free. And I go, I can't, and I go to one that I have to pay. So that's how my regression. And what I do is when I'm really bored, I go on all these sites and I go to all the music they have like on YouTube or the newest releases on, I like that one, I download it.
Yeah.
So then I save it away. And that's another thing I go through first. If there's any that are like that will work. So yeah, music's hard for me. So,
There's just a side note on that. When I was doing the video from the air show, I went on to the US Air Force and then I went on to their bands and everything. And there's actually a whole section of public domain music that you can go and just download for free and use. And so, of course, a lot of patriotic type songs and everything that you could download and use. And also, there was a lot of Christmas music on there that they did. So if you're ever looking for things in that nature, it's a place to go. But searching out music and searching out special effects and it's takes a lot of digging.
and there's sites like Kevin uses, right, that he pays like $150 a year. But he's using it all the time. And
Right.
other YouTubers, I've seen where they talked about it and they go to those sites too, where you pay $150, $200 a year and you kind of get unlimited and their quality of their music is a lot better. But you know, it's just something I don't want to pay for, so.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm using DaVinci. You didn't have to pay for it. I don't like the idea of the subscription services myself. We're gonna try to stay away from that.
Todd,
Alright.
Todd, what were you saying, your site for your music?
It was just the US Air Force website.
Oh, okay.
They have a category there for their bands and music, and then there's a whole list. There's a tab to click, and it says this is all in the public domain. You can copy this and use it all you want.
Okay.
Alrighty. So don't have any other videos to show right now. If you folks are interested, there are a couple things. These are on YouTube, so we all know how YouTube is, and they like to throw in their ads, so I can click skip ads, but it's 5 seconds or so. If you guys are interested, or
Go for it.
go for it. All right, so let's see if I can figure this one out.
Shooting travel videos is not only about the fun of using your camera or capturing incredible moments. You also want people to watch and like it, because that tells you that you've created a good piece of art. Of course, that's hard to achieve, especially in the beginning, which is why I created this tutorial. With this tutorial, I want to make it easy for you to produce travel videos that people want to watch. I will share all the necessary steps together with my best tips here, so by the end of this tutorial you will feel a lot more confident to shoot your next travel videos. Let's start with the first and the crucial step, the preparation. The first thing you want to find out is, what's the point of your travel video? Do you want to educate people about a certain place? Do you want to show the experience? Do you want to tell an actual story? Or do you just want to let people have a feeling like inspiration or the need for adventure? The point of your video can be everything you can imagine. But if it has no point, there's also no point for the viewer to watch it. And then it's also important to leave some space for unforeseeable things, because of course you can't plan every single detail of your trip, and it's actually a good thing, because things that just happen and that you cannot plan, that are out of your control, can make your travel video unique and separated from other travel videos that cover the same topic. Another important part of the preparation is to inform yourself about the place where you want to go. For that, tools like Google Maps, Instagram and YouTube are perfect. You already get an impression of good shots and the overall experience, and you will also be able to check if there is something else on the way to cover in your video. What you should also plan before is the time of the day. Most of the time your shots will look better if you go for sunrise and sunset, but there are sometimes places where it's better to go at noontime. For example, waterfalls often lie in between mountains, so the sun must be up to light up the waterfall. Here you definitely get better shots at noontime instead of sunset or sunrise, but it really depends on the place. So definitely take some time for preparation before shooting the actual video, because that makes it a lot easier for you to capture the right shots that keep the viewer engaged and therefore make your video a lot better. But I would say it's time now to go shooting and give you some tips about that. Our next step is to shoot the video. Now there's a lot you can learn about shooting videos, which is why you should subscribe to my channel, by the way. But in this video I want to give you the tips that I think make the biggest difference when comparing travel videos from beginners with professional travel videos. The first tip for shooting travel videos is one I can't mention enough, and it's likely the most important tip to make the step from beginner to pro. So the tip is simply to capture single shots instead of keeping the camera rolling all the time, what I'm doing here in the shot right now. And as you can see, the footage comes out pretty bad. So instead of shooting continuously, better get single shots. By doing so, you force yourself to shoot more intentionally, what makes your shots come out a lot better. I think you can tell a huge difference in the shots that you see here right now, and this is just me shooting without planning any shots and instead just looking for a few good ones. But there's also another advantage of getting short single shots instead of shooting continuously. It simply saves you a lot of time in the edit, as you don't have to skip through hours of footage. So definitely shoot like that instead of keeping your camera rolling all the time. But now you likely ask yourself what shots you should get and why should you get them. And this is actually not that complicated. You just have to start thinking in terms of scenes of your travel video, and then you can kind of guess what shots you need to get to create each scene. For example, the first scene could be traveling in a van, second scene could be walking or hiking to the destination, third scene arriving at the destination and enjoying the view, fourth scene having some food at a restaurant, fifth scene sunset beach time. So the standard travel video would be something like that. And so now during your trip, you can simply ask yourself what scene you're in right now and what shots you need to get to create the scene. In the van, that could mostly be some parts where people do funny stuff or everyone sleeps hangover from the last night. But at the other scenes, it gets more complicated. In the hiking to your destination scene, for example, you want to capture a sequence of shots that tell the story of the hike. So here you can shoot a mix of close-up shots of people's walking feet, faces looking at what's around them, wide-angle shots of people hiking, and shots of interesting things you see on the way or unforeseen stuff that happens during the hike. Important to remember is that close-up, medium and wide-angle shots show more or less of the same situation. A close-up shot of a foot can show that it's about hiking, but it leaves questions on who is hiking and where and what does he or she see. So by using close-up shots first and wide-angle shots later, you keep the viewer interested as he wants to know more. Whereas with shots that should show what people see on the way, you have lots of creative freedom. Just show whatever looks good for that. So generally, by capturing a good variety of different shots that show everything from different perspectives, you make it very easy for you to put together some good scenes and overall a good travel video later on your computer. So definitely get more shots than you think you need. It's definitely better to have more than not enough, but also make sure that you definitely get all the key shots that you need for each scene or each place to really tell the story or at least show the essence of a place. But now let's get even deeper into it by giving you some tips on how to make your shots actually look good. And a good one here is to place subjects like people, cars and other objects we see often in wide-angle shots. The reason for that is simply that by doing so, our brains have a reference point for the size of the landscape and objects in the shot, what makes the landscape or attraction in the shot appear even bigger. Another tip that beginners mostly do wrong is to point the camera down from the top. Your footage looks much better if you either get bottom-up shots or if you keep your camera on the height of your subject instead of pointing the camera down while you're standing. The reason is simply that you make things look small by pointing your camera down on them, while shooting up from the bottom makes it look bigger and at the same height it looks even. Most of the time you want to make things look big or even and not smaller, and as most beginners just shoot while standing instead of kneeling down, your videos automatically look amateurish if you shoot like that. So move your body, get low, and your shots will look much better and more interesting. You can also make your shots more interesting by moving your camera. That mustn't be big movements though. You can simply use a foreground object directly in front of your camera to make even small camera movements more visible. To make the motion even more visible, you can use a wide-angle lens for forward and backward moving shots and a more zoomed-in lens for movements in the horizontal and vertical axis. If your camera doesn't have digital or sensor stabilization, you should get a gimbal though, as otherwise your footage will look shaky. Also, optically stabilized lenses and slow motion help with that. And regarding slow motion, I want to add here that you should only use slow motion to emphasize certain shots instead of using it everywhere, because if you use it in every shot, then the effect of slow motion gets lost a bit, so it's not that strong anymore if you want to use it for shots where it actually does something, like emphasizing certain emotions or so. Now there is a problem though, and that is that oftentimes when I shoot my videos, I don't really know if I want to slow a shot down or not later in post, and that's why usually I get all my shots in 60 frames per second as long as I don't know for sure that I will not slow it down, and that makes it easy for me then later in post to decide if I either want to create a slow motion effect or if I leave it at normal speed. Then you might also ask about seamless transitions. Now there's a lot you can do to make transitions, and I can't cover all of that in this video. But what is generally very easy to do for cool transitions is to end one shot in the same way as another one starts. So for example, if you slide your camera behind a tree at the end of one shot, you can get a second shot where you start behind a tree and then slide the camera away from it to reveal something around you. In the edit, you can simply cut these shots at the right moment, add a fade effect, and you have a super smooth transition. I made another video about it, you will find a link to that in the description below. And when it comes to transitions, it's also important to talk about how to transition from one shot or one place to the next one, because if you only make a normal cut there, it oftentimes feels a bit weird, it comes too sudden. So what you can do there, you basically have three options, and the first one is to simply insert some drone shots. Second option is to use time lapses, and the third option is quite interesting, that is to capture things that are the same in both places or both scenes and bring them together later in the edit. The first two ones are quite obvious. Drone shots from high up in the air are great to transition from one scene to the other, as it takes the viewer away from the current scene. Time lapses are great, as it feels like time is passing by until something else happens. But the third option is actually often overlooked. To do that, you must imagine what objects are the same in different parts or scenes of your travel video. So what you do is to simply get one shot of something like that at the first place and then another one at the second place. By simply cutting these shots together at the transition between two scenes, it feels like the scenes have a connection. So it doesn't feel like a random jump cut anymore. So these were some of the most important tips when it comes to shooting your travel videos, but now it's time for the next step, the video editing part, and this is where all the magic happens. So the first step that you should do when you edit your travel video is to throw all the footage in your timeline and then build a good structure of your travel video by bringing clips together that generate scenes, as we talked about earlier. And after that, everything you really have to do is to arrange the clips within each scene in a way that either tells the story of each scene or that at least has a good flow. And flow good can mean that you put them together in a way that tells the story and keeps the viewer interested. But it can also mean that you arrange them by similarities like camera motion, similar forms, same subjects and so on. But depending on the video you want to shoot, it can also make sense to work with voiceovers like I do here in this tutorial mostly. And then you simply adjust your clips to the voiceover so that the clips always reflect what you're talking about. Of course, if you can combine that with sequences, then you're absolutely killing it. This is what Jake Frew, for example, does a lot in his videos. I really love that. And let me also show you how to edit the transition we talked about earlier. As mentioned, you simply cut the first clip at the end where it's similar to the start of the second clip, and then you do the same thing at the beginning of the second clip. Now you only need to insert a simple crossfade transition and it looks pretty seamless. You will find more tutorials about transitions on my channel, but definitely don't overuse them, as they can also make your travel videos look cheap if used wrong or too much. Okay, these are only the basics when it comes to editing good travel videos. Of course, there's a lot more that you can learn about it, but I must say that these basics are actually the most important points, because a good travel video is not just made of fancy transitions and orange and teal color grading, etc., even if I like that as well. But a good travel video in the first place has either a strong point, or it tells a good story, or it simply delivers a feeling of a place pretty well. And fancy transitions and color grading, etc., is really more on top of that instead of being in the first place, even if that's what you probably notice a bit more in the travel videos. And the good thing is as well that you can implement these tips that I gave here with every major video editor, like even Windows Movie Maker would work for that, because it doesn't require any fancy transitions or so on. So if you put all the tips from this video into practice, I'm absolutely sure that your travel videos will turn out much better, and that even people that don't know you will enjoy watching them. Most important is really to ask yourself what the value of your video will be for the viewer. And if you're not in a level where you can impress with cinematics, go more into storytelling while you learn how to improve the visual quality of your footage. Okay, thanks for watching. I put a lot of effort into this video, as you can tell, so please, if you enjoyed it, leave me a thumbs up and also subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And also feel free to share the video with others to help them create better travel videos. Maybe you know someone that's interested in that as well. And I would say that's it here. I'm out, and I hope to see you in the next video. If you just want to make, which is no, too loud. That sucks when you shoot at the road. Oh, please. We need more electric cars. Now I see the advantage. So definitely take some time for the... Thank you, thanks. Oh yeah, come. Need 100 cars more. So definite motorbike.
I shall never forget my first visit, which is now the Augusta National. The long lane of magnolias through which we approached was beautiful.
It just gives me chills, even to this day, driving on Magnolia Lane.
It's where all the great players have driven.
The trees that are up around the clubhouse are wonderful sights.
This is Bobby Jones's home and place.
The house, with its cupola and walls of masonry 2 feet thick, was charming.
Oh, wow! Arnold Palmer is the Masters champion.
You feel the past everywhere you go here.
An iconic place, there's second to none.
General Eisenhower's great contribution to the popularity of the game of golf.
This unique and well-conditioned golf course inspired superb play and much excitement.
One of the epic performances.
Extremely excited to announce the inaugural Augusta National Women's Amateur Championship.
Matsuyama Hideki, Mastersを勝ちました。
There it is, a win for the ages.
The greatest tradition I've been a part of is being a part of the Champions Dinner. The history and going back in time to hear the stories, you're going back 60 and 70 years.
The return to glory.
It's just a life-changing experience, and I'm really plan to represent this jacket the way that others have before me, and they've set a really high bar.
And there it is, a new Masters record in history here at Augusta.
We stayed in the Crow's Nest, which is 3rd floor of the main clubhouse there.
The tradition of staying at the Crow's Nest, it was great fun in that year. It was something I'll never forget.
Bob Jones wanted that from the inception of the club.
It seemed that this land had been lying here for years, just waiting for someone to lay a golf course upon it.
Thank you, Todd.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, thought of looking for a couple things in case, because I had no videos as of this morning until the class started, so. But has to do with what we do and everything, so. That was.
Todd?
Yes.
Todd? Question, could you give me a little, I'd just like to be able to send that link to somebody, the masters, that last one with the video through the.
All right,
The last one.
yeah. I'll send it to you, over your email,
Oh, that would be great.
okay? I'll pull your email address off of our, contact list, the
Oh,
membership.
perfect.
All righty, well, that does it. I think I did a little better today than I've done in the past, at least with playing our videos.
Good job.
Todd, if I could ask one last question about that, the nice long 14-minute video that of Pascal Basil, or is that his name, Basil? The how to make the travel video for beginners. So what would you guess that software was? Did he say Movie Maker? Is that a software program for editing?
I'm not sure.
That's like a basic Microsoft Movie Maker, like,
In Windows.
yeah, it's a free one. They don't even support hardly anymore.
So they don't make up.
Yeah, but it's like really basic stuff. Yeah, just putting clips together, transitions.
What?
I kind of miss some of those features because it's like you just say all the pictures did random move. Now I have to go in individually and change them in my new editor. But so that, yeah, it's an old Microsoft product.
Royce?
Yeah, I don't. It still might be around in their app store. I'm not sure.
Royce, are you saying that is as basic as iMovie?
It's probably even more basic than that.
Okay, okay.
All righty. Well, thank everyone for attending. I didn't lose everybody.
You have to stop recording.
Yeah, you should start recording.
Yeah.